You're listening to She's the Business podcast.
Hello. I'm super excited to be bringing you a very special series this week. This week, there'll be 3 episodes coming to you, and I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes on what it takes to have a thriving school hours business, which means working about 20 hours a week or less. Now, today's episode is part 1 of this special series, and today we're talking all about how to create authority so that you're the obvious choice for 5-star clients. Now, you'll learn all about what that means in the episode, so please hang about, stay tuned, and let's get into it.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration.
I've noticed that a lot of women go into business to create flexibility and have this vision of working part-time so they can, spend more time with kids, go to the gym, do the shopping without feeling guilty, without feeling like they're taking time away from their job and their boss. They also are wanting to be earning the same as the job, but probably deep down, we're thinking, I'd actually like to be earning more than what I was being paid in my job. And absolutely, with a business, the possibilities are limitless, aren't they? And I know all this because I was one of those women. That was what I did when I started this business. The dream of flexibility and freedom in my life to be able to choose my own hours and work when I want to work. But what I've noticed is that most women simply create a new job for themselves, often working for multiple bosses and, working long hours in evenings and weekends, and often being lower paid than they were in their job. So they've created a business that really isn't living up to the expectation or the goals that they had when they started. They've often got their old job as a bit of a plan B in the background, even though they don't really want to go back to it. And as time goes on, the idea of this easy school hours business is becoming less and less realistic, and they actually stop believing that it's even possible for themselves. So if you're sitting there listening and thinking, oh my goodness, that was me. I was that person with the dream, and I'm just exhausted, and it does feel impossible to have a school hours business that's profitable and that's really enjoyable and fun. Well, please hang around this week for the 3 episodes that I've got coming up for you, because I'm going to show you that it is absolutely possible and realistic. And it's not going to take a whole lot to get there. You've probably already got what it takes. It's just that parts of your marketing strategy could be out of alignment. You might be missing something in there. And there's really just 5 key pieces that need to be in alignment. So I'm going to break that all down for you and share with you how you can get consistently booked with 5-star clients so that you can be earning more in less hours and really achieve that dream of the school hours business where you can work 20 hours a week or less if you want to. I have clients that work 10 hours a week, but you can be working, 20 hours a week on stuff that you love, that excites you, that lights you up, and be well paid for it. And it's totally possible for you as well. So without further ado, I'm going to play part 1 for you, and you'll be listening along, but there is a worksheet. There's a download that goes with this, and I'll be sharing more information, replays, if you register for the series. So you can actually put your name down and then get notified before the next live series is happening. not before the next live series, next session, because this is session 1 today. So if you want to come and join me for sessions 2 and 3, then pop your name down, go to Master Your Marketing. It's in the show notes, or go to my website. You'll find it on the homepage in the top bar. It is otherwise at jessicaosborne.com/masteryourmarketing. And that's what I'm bringing to you today. So, you're getting this content right up. You don't even need to have registered. You can stay tuned, listen to it now. But to get the full experience, I do recommend that you opt in and download the workbook so that you can follow along. And by the end of the series, you're going to have my 5-part recipe for the thriving school hours business. So please, you're going to want to stick around this week. Tune in for all 3 sessions. And let's do it. Okay.
Awesome. We are doing this. Thank you. Thanks for your patience. A couple of minutes late getting started, but you guys are here, which is brilliant. All right. So I've got the phone there. I wanted to say thanks, and drop me a note in the comments to let me know where you're joining me from today. I know that we've got some people from all over the world, which is really exciting. I love this online business. Isn't it cool how we can connect with people anywhere they are in the planet? The days of the internet, I just think it's fantastic. So thanks so much. It's really good to have you here. I'm on the Sunshine Coast, which in Australia it's summer, so I'm sleeveless. It's much too hot to be wearing long sleeves here at the moment. So that's me. That's where I'm from. Hey, Melissa. Cairns, definitely you're going to be in the similar boat to me, aren't you? Nice and warm, although hopefully in aircon. And we're in a house that we're going to knock down. It doesn't have aircon, and obviously we're not putting it in because we're going to knock the house down. So I just have to deal with it. I've got to deal with the humidity and the heat, which is not much fun. Lagos, Nigeria. Wow, that is definitely a long way from here. And I imagine that you're probably fairly warm too. So tell me, how many years have you been in business? If you want to drop in the comments a note to say how long you've been in your business. I always find that really, really interesting as well. And obviously I can then know who I'm speaking to and, adjust any of my content to be really relevant for you as well. It's a lovely sunny day in Sydney. That's awesome, Melissa. Brilliant. So we are going to get started. I'm going to share my screen, which I have prepared. Where are we? Shall we? Just got to hang on 2 seconds. Going to share my screen with you. And right now it's showing Facebook, which is not what we need. So, Zoom, share my screen. Here we are. So we'll get there eventually. Share. So we are here, and yes. Day 1. So we've got 3 days of this series, and they are all different. So we're going to be going through quite a bit of content. I have sent out a workbook this morning. So you can download it, you can print it, scribble on it, or you can just sort of have it there in front of you if you want and make your own notes. Look, it's up to you how you like to do it. I'm all about whatever works for you is what works, right? So make it easy. I'm someone, I love to take lots of notes, so I tend to always have a notebook there, but I've got the workbook as well because I've dropped a couple of diagrams in and I thought that might help too. Shannon, you've been in business 9 years, which is awesome, amazing. 3 years, and I am probably going to pronounce your name wrong. So Ifeanyi, have I said that right? Ifeanyi? I'm sorry. You can tell me how to pronounce it and I will do better than that. And Kimya, 20 years, always interested in learning new things, especially now. Wow. Yes, I have. It's amazing. What we're going to go through, it is relevant whether you've been in business 1 year, 20 years, 30 years.
anywhere in between, because it's not about the latest trend. It's actually about what happens behind the scenes. And as your business grows and evolves, we always need to come back to this core strategy and adjust it and keep on checking that the pieces are still connected and it's moving, so that we can continue to grow our business and optimize it and evolve it. Without these pieces here and connected, then it can just stagnate, it can plateau, or even worse, it could go down, and we don't want to see that happening. So this is very relevant for you no matter how long you've been in business, because we do need to come back and refine this. And I do it regularly with my own business. That's how I'm able to keep on growing and extending and moving forward. It's how my business can double year on year, because I come back to the strategy. I'm really, really focused on it, which is why I'm really excited to share it with you guys today. Now, if you're sitting there thinking this might be one of those, 90-minute webinars where you've got 30 minutes of content and a 60-minute sales pitch or something horrendous, just want to say right here and now, this is not one of those. That's not my style. That's not what I do. I'm here to share with you some real content. I'm taking you behind the scenes. I'm going to be sharing my framework that is in my coaching programs and in my online program, Business Jam. Do I have a program that I'm about to open the doors to? Yes, I do. It's Business Jam. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. The doors are not opening right now. So we're not doing that. You don't have to worry. And I think that if you're sitting there thinking it is a sales pitch, then you might be closing off to some of the value and some of the learning that I'm actually going to be going through. So I really wanted to bring that out, the elephant in the room. Let's put it out there on the table, because if you are thinking that, then you're not open to be really listening to the content that we're going through. So I just think that this is a great way to set the scene and to be thinking, what are we here for? We're here because the business is the result of your strategy. So if it's not currently where you really want it to be, then something does need to change. And I think that a lot of people are focusing in the wrong places. So I'm really here to talk to you today about where the focus really should be. So you've got a choice to make. We're either going to listen and be open to hearing some new things and maybe some different perspectives on your business that you may not have heard before, but, be open to it. Think, okay, this is something new and different. But I'm keen to listen in and hear something about it. And I guarantee that if you are paying attention, then you're going to walk away with some real value from today, from Wednesday, and from Friday as well, which is obviously in Australian time. So if you're listening in and you're on the replay, or you're in America, yes, we're in the future. You might be here Sunday night. It might be you're going to be that little day behind. It's always so tricky to know how to talk about the days when we're here in the future. I don't want anyone to miss out. But at the end of this live series, you're going to walk away with my complete recipe for a thriving school hours business. So that might be working 20 hours a week. It may or may not be inside of the school time. It's what works for you. But I know that if you're like me, you're a woman, maybe you've got kids or you plan to have kids, you really want a business that's going to work for your life and in your life and not overtake your life. So that's what this is all about. And today we're really focusing in on that first piece, which is about the 5-star clients, the high value clients where you can be earning more while working less, so that you can have that thriving school hours business. I find that so many people are really focused at building a business and focus so much on building clients that they forget that, well, what happens when you have them all? Are you able to service them all? Can you fit it into your day? Or are you going to get to that place where it's just not working with your life? Now, today, in this whole series, this is for you. If you're a creative, a professional, you're a service-based business. You might be doing consulting, you might even be doing coaching. It doesn't matter. You're doing a service that is online. And if you're feeling any of these things here, like you're in this crowded market, how are you going to stand out? it is getting more and more crowded literally every day, every week, because there's so many more people jumping into entrepreneurship, into the online space, because they're looking around and seeing others doing it. They're seeing people like us and thinking, well, I want a piece of that too. And why wouldn't they? So the market that used to be, 20 years ago, wow, what a different place and time that would have been when you started your business, Kimya. It would have just been incredibly different back then than what it is today. And it's becoming more and more crowded. So that's not a bad thing. It just means that there's a different way that we need to look at and approach our business, because we can leverage that fact. If you're finding it hard to attract quality clients, that's a real clue that there's something that's not quite right in your strategy. If you're needing to price low to win clients, if you're doing too much marketing that's not getting results, relying on referrals or word of mouth, that's a big one in our services space. And that's usually because they're finding the marketing is really hard and you're not attracting the clients. So you kind of fall back on that whole referral and word of mouth piece to be getting the clients. And I'm going to explain why that's something that is both a great thing to have referrals, but also a really dangerous thing if that is your only way of getting clients. So we're really wanting to not stop the referrals and word of mouth. We absolutely want them, but we want to have our own way of winning clients, of attracting them and bringing them into our business that's not reliant on someone else. And obviously, if you're not earning enough to achieve your revenue targets, then we definitely need something to change in business. I'd love you to drop into the comments just what it would mean for you if you could have that highly profitable business where you're working only school hours. I'm going to assume that you have that school hours. If you don't have kids, that means to you part-time, the time that you want to be working. I am going to just assume that if you're here and if you have been following me, if you like my content, then you're also somebody who does not believe in that sort of mentality of I need to work 20 hours a day and work my butt off to get there, to get to the end destination. And actually what I'm in business for is because I don't want that. I want to be enjoying my life today, right now. I want to have a business that supports me to do that right from the word go, and not, in this undefined future time when you finally get there. So let me know what it would mean for you. Melissa says, more time for me. Yes, 100%. I'm so the same, and it's that time where, what does that mean? Does it mean you can go to the gym? Does it mean you can read a book? Does it mean you get to just hang out, maybe just have some time where it feels like you can relax and you're not always doing chores? It would mean the world to have more control over my work hours. Absolutely. And Shannon, having a great lifestyle, working the same hours as your partner. Yes. More holidays. I think that was one of my big things. I remember when I first started this business and I was like, I want to choose my hours. I want to have more holidays, and I want to be able to live and work where I want to live and not have to be tied to the office job in the city. I think I started my business as a young mother, which I will share a little bit more of my story soon. But, those hours, that was just so incredibly important. I guess it's like, why is it that it seems like only a few people have nailed that balance between work and life and, have this amazing work business lifestyle, but most people are stuck in this place of working way more than they ever anticipated. Nights, weekends, trying to catch up. If you have kids, there's things that you can't avoid. So maybe, frustrated by the amount of time that your kids might spend watching TV, or that you've got to give them an iPad or put them in after school care because you're working and maybe you don't want to be doing that. And then that time in the evenings and weekends, it's really taking away from time that you could be spending with your partner or obviously with your kids, or maybe just having a decent sleep. It's like, the basic things, they are important. So, why is it that so many do that? And that's what I'm here to talk about today, because I think it's really in the way that we're approaching the business. When we look at the experts or, those people who we do see having that freedom-based business, they're not scrolling Facebook groups looking for leads and posting promos. They're not cold DMing people. They're not listing on Fiverr, Upwork. They're not participating in loops, relying on word of mouth or referrals. They're not doing any of that. And what do they know that we don't? It's that school hours business isn't the destination that you have once you get there, once you've got this lifestyle, or once you've got the money, then they create the lifestyle. It's actually the other way around. They have created the lifestyle piece of their business right from the beginning. And they've designed it so that they can be profitable in the hours that they want to be working. And that's how they've got there. That's how they're doing it. And the more that we start thinking, actually, well, what would that look like for me? Or what do I need to do to get there? Can make those changes, and it can happen really quickly. What are we doing? And I saw Kaz. Hi, Kaz. Lovely to see you join today. Kaz says, enjoying my actual work without the second job. Yes. Actually marketing and promoting the business. Yes, exactly. And that's why, I really want to, I guess we're about to talk about it right now. A lot of people are focused on what I call the hot air tactics. And it's like this pressure to be doing more and more and more marketing. And, you only have to scroll your feed to see, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And there's, now we need to do reels and now we need to get on TikTok and all of these things. We've got sort of the core foundation, and a lot of people, we think, well, we need to have email, website, social media groups, ads, sort of a lot of the core pieces. What else should I be doing? And there's this, I guess, belief it's what you're doing is what's not working. And that is what I want to really challenge here today. Because you might see, we'll call them the gurus, they've got a bigger audience, so maybe I've got to build my audience, or they've got a course, I must need to do a course to get successful, or they've written a book. But if it's not working right now with the audience that you've already got, and how do you expect it to work if you get a bigger audience? It's not the audience that's making the success. They've got a bigger audience because they've nailed it, because they've got that level of success already. So trying to guess what to do next, this is where it feels really frustrating. And this is what I see a lot of people who have come to me and been my clients, and just see people in general out in the market, thinking, well, it must be my pricing, or I need to do TikToks, or is it my brand? I've got to go back and change my brand, or change, we're kind of changing all this surface level stuff and expecting it to change results. But the surface level stuff is like the output, the extension of the actual strategic piece. That is what's not working. That's what's not in place. Have you considered that it's not what you can see, that's how they're doing it, how they've got that success? You don't need a big audience or loads of engagement to win great clients. This is Claudia, and she's one of my original Business Jam alumni in 2020. She launched her business to 4 people on her Facebook page. So she is the case study of, you do not need a big audience. In fact, you don't really need hardly any audience to have a successful business, because within 2 months, she already had booked enough clients. She'd made back more than her investment in Business Jam. Like, she was profitable almost from the get-go. A brand new business with nothing, like nothing to support it. She had 2 previous businesses, totally unrelated. So yeah, she had some people that she knew, but it was the reason why she was able to do that is because she really nailed her strategy. So what she launched, what she put out there, and what she started doing connected straight away with the right people. And how much easier does that sound than thinking, oh, I've got to get this big audience of, 5,000, 10,000 people so that I can get clients. It's not like that. Oh, Kaz, you've got a sick boy at home. Oh, no. That is no good. I hope he gets better soon. But this is what matters, the stuff that's below the surface, and it's what you can't see, and that's why most people are missing it. So back in, 2016, this is a photo of me in 2017, a little embarrassing one, but I thought I'd throw it in there for a bit of a giggle. But in 2016, I was working in my corporate job, and I had a son who was 2. And I got to that place where I found that the grind was a grind. I was working 4 days a week in the office. I was dropping him off at daycare, rushing to pick him up, always feeling like there was never enough. I thought I was leaving my work early and not being there enough. Well, certainly they thought I was a part-timer and slacking off, even though I was doing my full-time job in those part-time hours. And always feeling like I was missing out on time with my son as well. And I got pregnant with my second child, and I thought, you know what, this is not what I want. With baby number 2, I did not want to come back here to the office and have 2 kids that I'm missing out on time with, because I was already hating it. I was already hating how much time I wasn't having for myself. And, when you've got a kid and you're working, then when do you fit in? Like, I wasn't going to the gym. I really was starting to feel like this is not a life that I want to be living. Even though I was head of marketing, it was a very well-paid job. I loved it, had a great team, we got good results. But this is when I made that choice, and I said, I'm not coming back. I'm going to go on maternity leave, and I'm building a business that's going to give me the lifestyle that I want. So I knew that right from the beginning, because I was there in the pain of not having the hours and time that I wanted. Does anyone else sort of feel like that? You kind of went back to work after having kids and thought, what am I doing here? This is just insane. And I think for me, it was a massive shock, because I thought it was what I wanted. I thought that career, I spent 20 years building it. Like, I thought that was what I wanted. I just needed to get to the top, and then I'd have, the income that would give me the lifestyle I wanted. But getting there and being there, I realized, I don't have the lifestyle I wanted, even though I've got the income. It's, what is this? I'm stuck living this life that I'm not really enjoying. Like, as much as I love my work, I wanted to have the life as well. And I could see the CEO who I reported to, he didn't have a life. He hardly saw his family. He worked such long hours. And I was like, well, that was what I thought my next level was. And I don't want that. That just looks awful to me. I want to travel. I want to work less hours. I want to have a more fulfilling time. But I also want to be fulfilled by my work. And I started my coaching business. So this is me. It started 2017. I think I was 3 weeks after having my baby. So I have the lovely double chin going on, still all my baby weight. And this is the start of my business, the very first photos that I had done. But I didn't get the formula right, because I thought, I just need to get clients. I just need to get someone to pay me some money and get this business actually working so that I can quit my job. And so I was pricing by the hour. First mistake. I was looking around at the market and thinking I was a newbie in the market, like doing coaching was like new, even though I'd done what I was coaching people on for 20 years. And obviously, I'd built brands and businesses. I had so much credibility that I didn't even realize was there. So I was treating myself like a newbie. And the other thing was, I was keeping my options open of who I could work with. I sort of knew I wanted to work with mums, because they would understand that I had a baby, and maybe she might be asleep or something might happen that was chaotic. So I knew that they would understand, but I actually was not specific about who I wanted to work with. And so what happened? Very quickly, I got to a place where I was working, I was already maxed out. I was working as much as I could possibly, and I wasn't earning anywhere near what I wanted to be earning. Like, it was so minimal. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work. How can I add more clients when I don't have any more time to add them? I'm already maxed out, and I've still got a small business. There's so much more I want to do. And how can I even possibly do that? Even if I outsource a lot of my marketing and things like running my Facebook group or any of that, I could outsource some of it, but I can't outsource me coaching people. So I went, I don't actually think this is going to work. And that was the first thing. And at that point, I started thinking, well, maybe I do have to go back to my job. I got headhunted for a role, and I went for the interview just to see, well, I was like, well, maybe I need to go back to work and actually figure this out. But in that interview, I was like, this guy was saying what he valued about their staff was that they all love to be in the office. And I thought, well, this is completely against my values. At that time, though, I started working with a client, and her name's Melissa, and she wanted help to relaunch her business. She'd taken some time off to have a baby, and she wanted to come back into the market, sort of relaunch, and she knew that something wasn't working and she would need to change because she had a baby and she couldn't work how she had worked before in her business, which had been full-time, having full-time hours. And she thought she needed help with marketing. But what we discovered going behind the scenes was that what she was offering currently wasn't pitched at who her ideal customer would really be. And that what she was offering was never going to get her to the revenue that she needed in the time that she had. And so adjusting what her service offering was, who she was targeting, and actually linking the pieces together meant that she relaunched, and her very first proposal, it was 500% more in actual profit than what she had previously been making. Because even though she had a price previously, every time she'd send out a proposal, she'd undercut herself, negotiate down before the client had even said anything. And we raised her price by 5 times, straight up, because we'd realigned her service offering to her actual target client that she really wanted to work with, which would mean that she could work part-time hours, really part-time with her new baby, a couple of days a week. That's all she wanted to work. And instantly, this was giving her that lifestyle. And it wasn't just about that. We did some work behind the scenes as well to streamline her business, to create automation, to create synergies, simplify it so that she wasn't spending so much time on things that weren't bringing in any money. This is when the penny dropped to me, because I actually had not fully nailed this in my business yet. And it was so interesting that it happens through a client project, was that to get that school hours business, I actually needed to start with that in my business. And it was an interesting way to learn this, I think, because you think that wasn't what Melissa came to me for, but it was what she actually wanted as a result. And so I was then able to readjust my own strategy to actually have a service offering and align with the clients I wanted to be working with, but at the level that meant I could work part-time, earn way more, and be much more fulfilled and happy. And as soon as I dialed that in, that is exactly what started happening in my business as well. And I have done the same for multiple clients since then. And it's exactly the strategy that I have put into Business Jam. It's what I call my Jam Plan framework. This is what I learned. The easiest way to have a thriving school hours business is to align your strategy to attract the 5-star clients so that you're earning more in less time. Now, you might be asking, what's a 5-star client? I'm going to get to that in just a moment. This is Ali. She has 10 hours a week that she works on her business, and she was very firm on it. She joined Business Jam last year, the start of last year, because she knew that she needed help with something. Something just wasn't working, like her business wasn't where she wanted it to be. she was working a lot, but she wasn't earning the revenue that she needed to be contributing to the household, let alone contributing to their savings plan, which they had a 5-year plan to save up a deposit for a house. This is at the start of last year. And she really just didn't know what wasn't working. Doing just literally in the 10 weeks that we did VIP calls of Business Jam, she went through the process to get her strategy in order. She had raised her revenue by 500% in just 90 days, and she'd made an entire year's worth of revenue in the first 3 months of financial year 2022. I caught up with her in December, just before Christmas, and she was just saying to me, my business has exploded. But what was most amazing was her 5-year goal with her husband. She was about to knock off half of it already. And it was just at the end of year 1. Half. She was getting a client, and she was working redesigned her business so that she was working with one client at a time for a few months at a time, which meant she could work 10 hours a week. And this was so easy for her. She was like, everything is just aligned exactly how she wanted it. Low stress, 10 hours, very profitable and very fulfilling, and exactly what she wanted to be doing. She just didn't even think it was possible, because what we did with her business was something that hasn't even been done in her industry. She's a voiceover artist, and they charge by the minute usually. And so we completely flipped it on its head and created something that was aligned to her skills and her unique value. And that's where she ended up. So this is a graphic just to give you a visual on what is most people's business kind of looks like if we were to draw it. There's all the things that they're doing, and they're like these balls up in the air, and you're juggling them. You've got your target client, your products there, your pricing, brand, marketing. Most people I work with have all of these elements, but they look like this. They are just up in the air. But bringing them into alignment so that they're connected and they're working together, that's what actually gives you the desired outcome. There may be some pieces that are missing, and yes, that has a big impact. You might have the pieces, but they may not be aligned, and that might just mean adjusting some of them, and they sometimes are not even adjustments. It's just bringing them into alignment is what gets you there. We want to go from this person on the top who's running on a treadmill, doing lots and lots of work, not getting anywhere, dreaming of the destination, but what they're doing is not getting them to the destination. To what we've got at the bottom of the screen is a lady running along a road and actually getting closer and closer to her goal. It may not happen overnight, but as you've just seen with 2 of my previous clients, this can happen really quickly. It doesn't take long to get your business into a place where you can be having that part-time, profitable school hours life, whatever you design it to be. And everybody's got different goals. Ali had 10 hours a week she wanted to fit it into. Melissa had 2 days a week she wanted to fit that into. So, the hours can be different. It's up to you. It's your business. But it's about designing it to fit that destination that is what you've defined you want. What is a 5-star client? Let's talk about that for a moment, because it's something I made up, this terminology. It's not something that's out there. But I thought, most of us would have an idea of what 5-star means. When we give a review, 5 stars means awesome. It means excellent, cannot be better. So I'd love you to drop into the chat right now if you were thinking of what would 5 stars mean to you in terms of a client. What would it be, what would make them a 5-star client for you? What does that mean? Is it about the revenue? Is it about how easy they are to work with? Is it that they're low maintenance? Maybe they're fuss-free. They might pay on time. Maybe it's because who they are and what you're working on with them, it totally inspires and excites you. they might be the kind of person who would give you a review or recommend you in a crowded room to anybody. What is it that would make a 5-star client for you? I'd love to know. Melissa says, easy to work with. Yes, that definitely is. And, I tend to think a 5-star client for me would be someone who would give me 5 stars and I would give them 5 stars. Like, you are a 5-star client. It's so easy to work with you. So from a coaching perspective, for me, it means that someone's coachable. They are prepared to open their mind and listen to some potentially things that might even be different to what they've heard of before. Yes, they might be ready to be challenged and we might have some of those discussions, but that they're actually open and ready to trying something new and not closing down based on, well, oh no, I read something before in a textbook, or that's what I've been told, and that's it. So for me, a 5-star client is absolutely all of those things, and they value what I value. They value me, they value my expertise and how I'm going to help them, which means that, they're not after something that's free or bargain basement, because they know that to get value, you're putting in, you're investing in it, and that is investment is 100% worth it as well, because it's going to be such a bigger return. It's all of those things. And I'm interested because I think 5-star, it means different things to different people. You might be a 5-star client, they're really, they work with your systems. It's so easy for you to onboard them and to do the work for them. They give really great feedback. Maybe they're excellent communicators. They come to you with a brief and they know all of their things. Like, what are those things that would make them a 5-star to you? Because if you know who they are, then, and what makes a 5-star client, then you know how to attract them as well. I popped some ideas up here. So, there might be someone who's very respectful. They might be appreciative, committed to their business. It's a big one for me. I think it makes such a difference when I'm working with clients who are actually committed to their business versus someone who's got one foot in their plan B, oh, this might work out, I'm going to just see and dabble. Because what happens is when I'm working with somebody like that who's got one foot in their plan B camp, is they don't fully commit. So they don't actually fully try something, and they don't execute. So they might learn, they might sit here and do all the learning, but they take notes and then they don't go and implement it, because there's always a bit of a but, or, oh, what if it doesn't work? It's like, well, sometimes we've got to actually just think, what if it does work? What's the worst that could happen if I try this? We've got to take those steps. And so for me to have success, I need someone who's also committed and who's also going to go 100% and try things for their business, because that's the only way they're going to get success. Commitment is huge. All of that list, Kaz. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And so I thought a lovely way to sum it up was the word 5-star clients, or the term 5-star clients. And, I want you to be thinking, well, how many of your clients right now would you call 5-star clients? Are you working with some who maybe they're not a 5-star client? Maybe they're not a great fit. What would it be that you want to change so that you do have the 5-star clients? And maybe that's the question. Maybe that's why we're here. How do I take that shift so that I've got the low maintenance, high paying, values quality, all of those things? How do I make that shift so that I'm getting more of those clients and less of the other ones? This is what we really want to be feeling when we're working on our business. Imagine the difference when you're working with the people who you 100% value and they value you. difference in the feeling that you have as a business owner, I think counts for so much, doesn't it? Because it makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. Melissa's saying yes to committed. Much prefer to work with people who are at least open to trying new things. Yeah. And, there's a lot of dabblers, and I think that's fine. We all have times where we do dabble, or we might not be sure or try something, but you think if you've made that commitment to work with someone, and then you've got to be in it to do it. Like, let's actually follow the lead and do the things that you're being shown, or like those ideas that come through. What's the harm in actually trying them? Because that's what's going to get you there. So, the recipe for a thriving school hours business, my creation, the Jam Plan. I'm calling it the Jam Plan because I love the sound of it. It's a recipe to make jam, and the jam is really sweet. Jam also comes from my program Business Jam, which stood for Just Authentic Marketing. But as you'll find out, it's more than just marketing. And when I say marketing, people tend to think of what they see, like the social media and, doing ads and brandings and logos. But it's so much more than that, as we've already discovered. It's actually designing your business to work for you. And that's the sweetest spread, isn't it? Because when you're bringing in the clients really easily with no fuss, who you really want to work with, and you're earning what you need to earn to reach your revenue goals, you've got the business that you really want. So yes, it is very much about your marketing, but it's about these pieces in place behind the scenes. I'm going to be sharing with you through this series what 5 ingredients are you align to get consistently booked by 5-star clients so that you're earning more in less time. The first one, you might have guessed it, it's my favorite topic, niche, your place in the market. So let's talk a little bit about it. Now, often when you say niche, people think, it means it's small. It means that it's a tiny little spot. It means that it's restrictive. Or they might even think, my niche is my ideal customer or my customer avatar. Well, it's not any of those things. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. Your niche is actually a growth strategy. So there's a little bit of a different perspective, isn't it? The thing is that the less your business is growing, or the smaller and newer it is, the more your niche is important to get that growth happening. Growth happens when you have a niche. And why? What does niche really mean? It is about having a really clear target so that you're aiming for something. But it's also about specialization. There are 2 ways that you specialize, which go into your niche. And in a moment, I'm going to share with you my niche sort of framework, because I have a unique one. These are the 2 first elements of it. So the who and the what. 2 ways to specialize. Often people will use one, sometimes neither. And neither is where it gets really hard. It's a struggle. So tell me if you already, you might have, I know, Melissa, you've definitely been in a lot of my trainings before, and Kaz, you've been around for a while. Where do you feel you're niche down or specialized? Is it in the who, the what? Do you have both? You might be wondering, well, how do I know if I'm niched enough, if I'm specialized enough? And I would say if you're asking that question, it probably means that you're not. The who. What is the who? Who is who you're working with. I think that's fairly obvious. So who you're working with. Now, there's a big difference in, say, people who say, I work with small businesses. Now, that might feel to you like that's a defined who. But in Australia, and I do have this stat on another slide, but I thought it would be useful to bring it out here, is there's 97% of all businesses in Australia are classified as small business, not even medium, not large, 97%, which is about 4.5 million businesses. The last time I looked up the stat might have changed because there's a lot of new businesses popping up every week. But just imagine that for a moment. That's just in Australia. Then think about, well, if you work outside of the bounds of Australia, if you work worldwide, small business is an astronomical number. So that's not anywhere near defined. That's not specialized. That's very, 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 very broad, because these small businesses are in every single industry and every subcategory of every industry. So we need to dial that in so much further. Then the other way that you specialize is in the what, and that's what you do. Now, what you do can be well defined and it can be broadly defined. I find people think it's a bit easier often to specialize in the what, because you probably know what your skills are. But if you're not specialized in the who and not in the what, then what are you? Like, how is anyone going to know what it is that you do and who you do it for if they can't sort of identify with it, if they can't figure it out? A lot of the time people fear that, being specialized puts you in a box. And they're like, oh, but there's all these other boxes and I want to play in all of them. Being specialized doesn't put you in a box. It's not locking you in. It's not etched in stone, and it's not something that you can't change. It's just how you can be known for what it is that you do. Another really important distinction that I haven't written down on the slide, but if you're listening, you're here, you're taking notes. So your niche and what you specialize in, it doesn't have to be a description of everything that you do. It's just what you want to be known for. So it's what you market. Your niche is what you market. It's not necessarily everything that you offer as a service. Now, when I do work with my clients, I'm often, especially in established business, they've often grown in scope over time. And they might have started off specialists and they've become more generalist because they've kept on adding services. And that's why there may be some things that you want to consider. Well, is it still part of, is it still a great thing to have in the business? Is it still really working for you in terms of your profitability? And that's something that we'll talk a lot more about tomorrow. So for today, we're really going to focus in on what you do for, how you describe what you do. So what is that specialization, and who you work with. Now, you want to be a specialist because a generalist is one of many. You're back in that place where you've got the market. It's crowded. If you're not able to really clearly define exactly what you do and who for, then you're one of these seagulls in the pond, all, me, mine, scrapping for the same clients. Whereas a specialist, you're going to stand out. You might be like this beautiful swan on a pond with not many of the others around. Now, specialization, it means authority. Authority builds your reputation. The reputation builds trust, and trust is what you need to be making sales. And all of this, when you think about it, is what will bring you the high-paying 5-star clients, because they're not out there looking for just anyone. They want, the 5-star client who's prepared to, they're looking for quality, and they're prepared to pay for it. They want the value. They're not looking for someone that they're not sure about. They're looking for someone that they absolutely trust, knows their stuff. And that means that it needs to be clear what these things are. It needs to be clear the specialization. You create authority in your space. And authority doesn't mean being famous. Authority just means when they see you, they can see straight away that you know what you're talking about. And that can be on your website, it can be in your content, wherever it is. It's not about needing to be everywhere. Authority also isn't gained from pieces of paper like certificates and degrees. Melissa says, I don't want to be a seagull. No, you definitely don't want to be a seagull. It's not gained from having a piece of paper. And I see that that's often what people think. I need to go and get more pieces of paper and get qualifications. But have a think about it for a minute, because you guys are all here, you're in business. When you're hiring somebody, do you go and look for their qualifications? Even if, whether it's not in business, even if it's privately, if you're going to a doctor, do you go and look for their qualifications and go and check them off and see where they're qualified? Probably not. Maybe we should at times, but we tend to kind of believe that they're doing that job. That means they've got a qualification. But do they even need it? And do you care about a qualification with a lot of business skills? It's not what gives the credibility. Credibility is built through the person being clearly someone who understands your business and understands what they're doing. So they're specialized in who and they're specialized in what. There's one more element you need, which I bring into my special formula, which is what I think makes a difference and takes you from being a seagull into being that beautiful swan. Because what if all the seagulls are specialized in who and what? And that's probably what you're thinking. Well, I could be specialized in who and what, but what if there's other people who are specialized in the same things? Then how am I different? And it's this third element down here, the why you. And when we combine them all together, the three, it's very, very unique. And that's your sweet spot. That's how you create authority. Now, why you? What does that mean? It's your difference. And this is why only you can do this. It's what makes you valuable, what you really help your clients to do. That's that standout thing. And when you dial in each of these three elements and get very specific on all three, that creates authority, credibility, and your own space in the market. And it's what makes you stand out to your version of the 5-star clients, people who are trying to find someone like you. It's what draws them to you, because they really, they feel so much connection when you present, when you've got anything, whatever it is that's out there. Even if it's on search and they're finding your website from Google and they haven't heard of you before, if the first thing they see is resonating 100% with them and very relevant, guess what? They're scrolling. They want to learn more. They're booking in a call. It doesn't have to be through other means, but it's through everything that you're putting out. We want to have a really nice, clear message, and what works is very specific messaging that connects. Now, this is just a little check-in, kind of like a bit of a quiz. So I wanted to go through where we might be right now in the business. And what I'm going to talk about are some signs of what each of these layers, what might be happening at each one. So we can kind of see where. I'd love you to share in the comments. When I talk through it, you might be like, oh, this is where I'm at. So where are you at right now? Starting at the bottom, the side hustler. They are someone, they generally don't have a really defined service. They're often a bit on the sidelines of the business, meaning that they've got an idea that they want a business and might have started putting some things together, but they're really not out there taking action. So if they are working with any clients, it's come through word of mouth. Clients are often really different, not a lot of consistency there, and they're customizing everything. The freelancer also customizing everything and completely relies on word of mouth and referrals. So they're somebody who's got a network who brings in the business, but it's very labor intensive. They basically created a job for themselves where they're working for themselves, but with multiple bosses, multiple deadlines, and whatever the client wants is what they're delivering. So they've got this real, what I call like the employee mindset, which we've all been trained to do, because that's what our education system, that's what the world wants, is great employees for businesses. So we've been trained to get multi-skilled in lots of things, to be able to take on new tasks and to work autonomously, and all of the things that you think, well, what do the employees, what do we value as a boss with an employee, is all of that. Yes, they do what they're asked, they meet their targets, they meet the deadlines. But the freelancer is not leading. They're not stepping out and really being somebody who's building their own credibility and worth. They might be building a reputation for being a good worker, but that's what they are. They've created a job for themselves where they're in their own business, but they've got multiple bosses, very much customized, and which is why they're not in a place where they've got a school hours business, because they're spending so much time customizing to every client that it's really detracting a lot away from their day. And usually these are the people who just find they're burning out in business. Just they're working so much and they're still miles away from their revenue goals. The consultant tends to have a bit more of a defined service. So they've got some defined service, but they're not defined in who they work with. They tend to be there thinking, I'll work with anybody who wants what I'm offering. They're often doing cold outreach and calls to try to get clients. Like they're either mostly working a business, maybe they've got a little bit of their job on the side, but they've mostly taken that step into the business. But they aren't in the place yet where they're getting a flow of clients consistently coming to them. They're still feeling really unseen in the market. And, they're not getting great fit clients. They're getting people who are price conscious and high maintenance. The specialist has tended to got to a place where they're actually earning more. So they're doing well in that regard. They're starting to attract clients who are a great fit, but they're still a bit of a seagull. Like they don't have, although they've got a more of a specialization, they're still the same as lots of people. So they're still competing in the market with other people and often on price, even though they've increased their value. Whereas the respected authority is that person who's nailed all three parts of their niche. They've got a defined difference that's giving them the authority. So they're actually attracting clients to them and having those consistent bookings. They're able to be charging the premium prices. Yes, 100%. They've got the ability to have that school hours business as long as they've designed their business to give it to them. But they absolutely have what it takes. Melissa says, I love this pyramid. Great visual on where we're trying to get to. Yeah, does anybody want to drop in where they think that they might be right now? What was sounding like what might be happening for you? I think a lot of service businesses are in the freelancer space, and I think women in particular, we tend to get stuck in there a fair bit because we like to help people and we think, well, if we can help them, then why not? Or you tell me what you want and I'll make it happen. So without kind of realizing we're in this place of serving. And yes, while we're all serving clients, what I'd love you to take away from today is the best way to serve your clients is with your top value, with your, what makes you really unique and what's that amazing mix of your skills and experience and perspective that you bring to your clients that makes you super valuable to them. And it's not in everything that you can do. And that's where the freelancer is, I guess, maybe not seeing what their value really is and definitely not leveraging it. And so I call it when, you're stuck in that freelancer zone. That's what I'm talking about, where you're here and you're working hard, but you're really like treating yourself like an employee of your clients instead of a trusted partner. Tamsin says, interesting, you can scale up and down this without ever reaching the top and not knowing why. Yes. Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? And I think there's some slight differences in these, some of them not even massive differences. And that's what is interesting when you look at it, that there's just some really subtle changes, but that they make such a big difference when you get to the top. Because when everything's connected, so when the 5 pieces of your jam plan are all connected and working together, then that is what is the sort of, it's why I call it the recipe to create that thing that works. Because when you have that definition in your niche and you've got the other pieces that I'll talk through, you'd be able to attract the clients to you just through what you're doing already. You're not having to do anything special. It's because whatever you are doing and you choose what works for you to do is landing, it's connecting, and it's attracting the right people in. And the expectations, the level that they're coming in at, because you're a respected authority, means that you're able to take that place in the market where you can be, you can be charging rates that are really profitable. And I want to speak on it for a minute, because I know there's lots of hang-ups about money, and lots of people saying, I don't want to be in business to make money. It's like, well, if you're in business, a business needs money to survive. It needs money to grow. And it's not a bad thing, because it means if you're earning money in your business, you're likely using that money to buy services and pay it on. So it's coming into you, but it's also flowing out as well. There's nothing greedy about it. It's just a matter of, that's what a business is. It's a machine. And we want a machine that you're putting effort in at one end and it's generating its own money. So it's not the effort, the money comes from the effort. So the same effort that goes in is the money that comes out. We want to be creating a machine that then generates more money. So this is what is this really slight difference in how we're going to look at your service offering tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Wednesday. Is how do we change it from one in, one out to one in, many out? Because that's what takes you the ability to be able to scale and helps you become more profitable. Kimia says, respected / specialist. If I'm honest with myself, I think it goes up and down depending on the client. Yeah. Which sounds crazy. Some potential clients hear about you but approach you like they're giving you a tryout. Yeah. Yeah, so it just sounds like, there are some pieces in place that are working, especially if the clients are the right ones for you, but they've got, they're not quite at that place where they've got you've got the authority that means that it's a no-brainer for them. So if it's not a no-brainer, then we're probably still a little bit in the specialist space. I thought this would be interesting because this is one of my earlier clients, and what she wrote really describes what it is that we're talking about here. Because when she was a freelance copywriter, when she first came to me, when we first crossed paths and she started working with me. And the short story is that we went through a niching down process with her. I was like, well, you can be a freelance copywriter, but that's a lot of hard work. And, you can always trying to find more clients. How can you get them coming to you so that when you're working, you can charge good rates because they want what they want you for something specific that you're an expert at. And B, that you don't have to be working so many hours, because she really, she needed a lot of time to do other things. 2 years ago, she niched down hard, and it wasn't. For some people, it's not as easy as others. She definitely went through, like a period of niching down and then still finding her feet a bit. But she's had a consistent stream of work, of the exact work that she wanted, not just random copywriting jobs. And then she says, here it's become a town demolishing flood. I can't keep up. It has been this lesson because she had been in this sort of freelancer zone for so long. She was saying yes to work coming her way. So the uninspiring work that was, really, I guess, sucking her soul dry, and not what she wanted to be doing, but she was saying yes to it because she had this perspective that she needed to serve anybody who came across the plate. And so even though she'd kind of got to that bit of being a specialist, she was diving down into that freelancer zone of like, I've just got to take anyone who comes across the plate because that's what I do. That's because I need to be earning more in the business. But what she's realized is when she actually says no to the work that she doesn't want to do, she's creating space for the work she really wants to come in. And so how much more empowering and what's the word? Like, I guess, how much more success is she feeling from having the space for her 5-star clients every time, to be earning that top dollar every time, and to be not wasting her time, her day on the soul-sucking work that's uninspiring, doesn't excite her. So she can choose her clients now, and she has no fear of regret or unpaid bills. And then she keeps attracting more of it. And so this is like, in one post, what she wrote, this is exactly it. This is what we're doing here. Miranda, she was one of my Business Jam members. She realized when we were going through niching last year, she joined around this time last year in Business Jam. She is also a copywriter, but she sort of knew what she wanted, but again, she'd been just accepting any work that came her way with any business. And so it wasn't creating any kind of name, reputation, certainly no authority, except that people would say, oh, she's a good writer. Oh, you need some copy written, send them Miranda's way. But that wasn't all the work that she could really excel at. And when it's not what you are going to excel at because it's not in your zone of genius, think about how much harder that is to do. And so is this something that, maybe you might not be a copywriter, you might be in a different business, but in all of our businesses, and this is what I realized as well when I was working with some of my earlier clients, even though I can help them, they're not the best fit for me and I'm not the best fit for them, because it's not, if I dial into really where my expertise is, they're the people that I'm going to get the absolute best results for. The 5-star results where they are giving me 5 stars. Whereas when we're trying to do things for people we know we can help, and I've done marketing for 23 years, I can help any business tell them about marketing and help them improve their marketing. That doesn't mean I'm the best person to help them. I'm the best person for the people who I understand intimately with their business. And that is, online service-based businesses like my own. It's 100% who I'm best suited to help. And women, because it's different. I see a lot of guys, and I've had clients who've had coaches before who are male, and they tell them strategies that were just so out of alignment with their energy and what they felt they could do. I had someone say they were told to make 20 sales calls a day to get clients. I'm like, well, that's just ridiculous. This lady was a mum with 3 kids. She had a job and a business, and this guy told her to make 20 sales calls a day. I'm like, that's your whole time you want to spend on your business, and you're just making it doing sales calls. Well, what a complete waste of time, because when is she ever going to get time to do the work? It's so out of alignment with her and what she needed. But yet this is what they're being told. And that's what really gets on my goat sometimes. Anyway, specificity test. So can you recognize your 5-star client in under 10 seconds from checking their profile or website? What do you think? Do you think that you would be specific enough right now in who you're targeting to recognize them in under 10 seconds? Let me know in the comments. Here's my stat that I mentioned before. If you're targeting small business, how does a small business recognize that you're the right one for them? I've called this one out because I think it's probably the most common one that I see people say when they say who they work with. I work with small businesses, and I'm always like, well, right now, I don't know if that's me or not. I know I'm a small business, but I don't know if you're the right person for me. That doesn't mean anything or mean enough. So what do you think? Is that resonating with you? Melissa says, that's a good test. I think I could. Yes, I hope so. Catherine and Natalie are occupational therapists, interestingly. They were in the place of they wanted to work with anyone who needed their help. And, coming from health, that's very common because you think, well, yeah, someone needs some help and I know how to help them, then why wouldn't we want to help them in our business? And that's exactly their struggle that they had when they started working with me, because I got really tough with them. And I said, you've got to get specific. Who is it that you could help the best and why? Why do they need your help? What are they going to get from it? They ended up narrowing down to 3 ideal customers, and they wouldn't go any lower. They wouldn't narrow down to 1. They got to 3. But what that meant is that they had to do 3 lots of messaging, 3 lots of service packaging, and they actually found that it was a little bit harder to do their content, their website, their social media, because they were speaking to 3 different people. Even still, by narrowing down to 1, they managed to increase their revenue by over 500%. Quit. So Natalie was working a day job, and Catherine had just finished her maternity leave. So she had a young baby at home. But they were paying themselves a salary for them from their business just because they got specific, and we worked on their services as well. And since then, since we've put up more recently, they narrowed down to 1, and they said to me, you know what, we realized after trying to go after 3 different ideal customers, we narrowed down to 1, and it's so much easier. and there's more than enough. There's more than enough. This is Georgina, and she started attracting her ideal client after getting really specific on who she wanted to work with. And because she was clear on who she worked with and why and what she did, she was able to be saying no to people who weren't a great fit, and she was attracting in the ones she did want to work with. And she had gone from being very price competitive. She was writing resumes originally, but she created a package more around career coaching and sold her first 4-figure package literally 2 months after she finished business term, which was like a complete transformation for her. Now, I bet you're wondering, even if I attract 5-star clients, how do I become more profitable? We've touched on that as well. Yes, 100% about the pricing. But there's more to it than that. It's not just pricing. There's a whole strategic element around your service and your service model and how your services connect that actually bring in the profitability. That's what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday. So I hope I'm going to see you back for day 2 of this series, Master Your Marketing. We're going to be talking about how to align your service offering so that you are bringing in the 5-star clients, and that it works for you within school hours if that's what you want, or within your part-time hours. So this is the strategy that I'll be sharing on Wednesday. If you're in Australia, if you're overseas and we're in the future, then it will be maybe your Tuesday night. I will send out the reminders for it. If you guys have any questions right now on this, what is the thought that's popping into your head? And would you like I can open up a coaching thread in the group so that we can have some extra comments going on in there. But I'd love to know if you have any questions. Now we have a little slight delay on the comments coming in the group. So let me know what you think. What's been your biggest takeaway from today? Melissa needs to go and have a nap now. I love this. This is your school hours business. Fantastic. So much information. Thanks, Jess. No worries. Thanks, Melissa. Good to have you join today. And I'm scrolling back up. So Melissa said she was definitely freelance until about a year ago and now working her way up the pyramid. Awesome. Yeah, and I think some people will eventually figure it out, but hopefully what I'm sharing with you over these couple of days is going to get you to take a bigger leap right along that pyramid in the right direction, because might actually have these pieces and they just might not be aligned or might not be fully in place to give you that outcome. So that's what I'm here to do and share with you, which is what I'm very excited about. Tamsin says the pyramid is really helpful. Oh, I love it. That's good. Thank you. Thanks, Tamsin. Happy to answer any questions. If you have anything specific about your own business, you want to drop a question in the comments, I'm happy to answer it live for you right now. And we will, if you have any questions that come in, I guess, even while you're absorbing the information overnight, you can always drop it in the group and I will answer some of them. I'll answer them in the group, but I'll also touch on some in the next training as well. So I think usually what happens is there's a lot of questions around the niching part. It's really common. It's a common thing that people want to avoid doing. And, if I just share a little bit of, I guess, what I've found is every time my business growth has stalled or slowed down and I felt like I'm not, for some reason, I'm not getting people booking in calls with me, I go back to my niche and I look at it and think, am I being specific enough? Am I being clear enough? Am I being clear enough on what that is? And I dial it in every single time. And literally, as I do it, I get more. It suddenly changes, and I get bookings, people booked in straight away. And I know it sounds crazy, but it is that simple, that the clearer you are, the more specific you are, the more you just stand out to that person, that you're the right one for them. And while we're trying to be someone for everybody, we're actually being someone for nobody, because they can't see themselves. And if they can't see themselves in what you're saying, then they're not sure. They're like, well, I don't know if you're the one for me. But when we can do that specificity and, they see themselves 100% in what you're describing as a business you work with, straight away there's just that element of trust that this person works with businesses exactly like mine. They know exactly what I'm going through. It really makes a massive, massive difference, because there's a lot of choice out there and we're all very discerning these days. We know that there's choice. We're going to have a look and we're going to gravitate towards someone that feels like the best fit. It's like with anything, think about when you're choosing something, whether you're buying a product or whether you're looking for a service. If we do a metaphor, like you're looking for a product, maybe you want some kind of protein powder or something like that. There's so many different types. You're going to be looking for one that is designed for women, that meets your dietary kind of requirements. If you're vegan or something like that, you might be gluten free, you might need those things. You're going to want something that is going to meet your goals that you might be wanting it for. So you might want protein powder that's going to help suppress your appetite or make you feel full or help you burn fat fast or whatever it is. You're looking for the specificity because there's a lot of choice out there. And it's the same thing that we do often without realizing it. Whenever we're looking to hire or buy anything, we're looking for the right fit. It's like looking for shoes that need to fit. Kaz says, I'm going to go and dial in my niche message. Awesome. Well, share it in the group, Kaz. Let's do a brainstorm on that for you. I'm more than happy to help with it. I didn't give homework today. Sometimes I give a bit of homework with this training and say, drop your I help statement in the group and let's dial it in. If you'd like to do that, then let's do it. I will give you an I help statement template if you like as well. Awesome. Kaz says she will. That's great. We've got some things to have a rethink about. It's fantastic. Really good. Well, thank you guys. Thanks so much for joining me live. I really appreciate you. And clearly my accent is not being translated well by Facebook. I just saw it wrote Kez instead of Kaz. I have to adjust that next time. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you turning up and joining me live. That's awesome. And if you've caught me on the replay, thank you for being here as well. Thanks for sticking around to the end of today. We've got another amazing day coming up. Can't wait to get into the service side because that's another one of my favorite topics. So getting into the service, how are we going to model your services to help you reduce time and increase profit? And that's what it's all about. That's why we're here in business. So we will be doing that on Wednesday, same time, same place. I will see you here. Bye for now.
Join me for my free 3-part live series. It's called Master Your Marketing, and you'll discover the 5 ingredients to aligning your message and your offering around your unique value so that you're working with 5-star clients, attracting them easily, growing profits, and ultimately enjoying real flexibility in your life to spend time doing whatever matters most to you. Head over to jessicaosborne.com/masteryourmarketing to register now and make sure that you don't miss out on this live series. I'm so excited. I absolutely cannot wait to bring it to you. When I ran this last year, I had people saying comments like, wow, light bulbs are going off. I love this. And, you've given me so much to think about. So you don't want to miss this. Master Your Marketing is starting on the week of 20th of February. So mark your calendars right now and make sure you register. The place to register again is jessicaosborne.com/masteryourmarketing. And get in there and register. Even if it's already started, you can still register. You can still get access to the replays, to the workbook, and get involved in the whole series. It's happening for the whole week and it's going to be amazing. So make sure you've got it in your calendar. Mark it right now. 20th of February, that's the Sunday, so the week of is when this live series is running. And I really can't wait to get involved with you. It's going to be interactive. There'll be lots of fun. So come and join me online and let's master your marketing this year.